Councilman Young. All right, well, Chris started the recording, so we can start.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
could
yes,
you hold
Ms.
on for a moment?
Belcastro.
Councilman Marks is having technical difficulties and I'm trying to help him with an issue.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We still have a quorum.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. He's gonna log off and log back on, but he said to go ahead and proceed. My apologies.
Okay. All right, I'm sure he'll be on in a minute. Okay, all right, well, we're gonna get started. Welcome, everyone. This is the second work session for Legislative Day number 8 that is coming up on April 6th. First up, and I don't know if we're covering this today, Mr. Secretary, but we have an appointment to the Baltimore County Adult Public Guardianship Review Board of Mr. Ermer, who I believe was here.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ermer was at the March 10th work
Right.
session. He was not able to attend the March 16th confirmation vote, so we held that over until Monday's April 6th legislative session. So he essentially has already been before the council, so we did not ask him to come back for today.
Okay, so we will see him for his confirmation on April 6th.
Yes, sir, that is my understanding.
Okay, so then next up, we have a reappointment to the Board of Appeals. This is Councilman Jones' appointment. What's a reappointment for Councilman Jones of Miss Sharon Bernardi. And Miss Bernardi is with us. She's got her seal in the background and everything. So Miss Bernardi, do you want to say, or Councilman Jones, did you want to say a few words and then let Miss Bernardi have the floor?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ms. Bernardi comes with a tremendous amount of experience in the private sector and the public sector, mainly the public sector. And it is just a joy to have her on the board. And she's extremely knowledgeable and fair and has done a fantastic job representing our community in Baltimore County on the board. So I am very honored and with great sense of pride, I renominate her for the position.
Okay, well, thank you, Councilman Jones. Ms. Bernardi, did you want to just say a few words? Tell us what you like about being on the Board of Appeals, what you don't like. Whatever you want to tell us. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And of course, I want to thank all of the members of the council. And what I would like to share is that I'm a long-time public servant. I served 30 years with the state of Maryland. I retired as Deputy Comptroller of Maryland, and I retired to lead our country's Federation of Tax Administrators. And as a public servant, I am very much committed to Maryland, to Baltimore County, and see the board as a way for me to continue that service and my way of giving back to the citizens of Baltimore County, and would hope that you would reconsider me to be appointed to the Board of Appeals and continue that service to my community. And I'm here to address any questions you may have.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Bernardi. Any questions for Ms. Bernardi? None? Okay, well, we look forward to your reappointment next Monday. And we appreciate you being here with us this afternoon just to say a few words. And we really do appreciate you staying on and being part of this important board. You know, the Board of Appeals does a lot of, it often is the point where citizens deal with the county with all kinds of different issues, and it's a very vital to what we do here in Baltimore County.
Thank you again. We just wrapped up hearings, and that's why I'm here in the hearing room. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be before you this afternoon.
All right, absolutely. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, so next up, we have a reappointment. This is actually my appointment to the Board of Appeals. I can't believe we're up for reappointment already, of Mr. Michael Stelmack. And looks like Mr. Stelmack is with us. You know, Michael has, people may remember this, but, you know, comes from a long line of family members who have served this county, either in the fire department, the police department, the school system. And it's nice to see Michael serving at the Board of Appeals level at a, just rounding out the family history in Baltimore County. So, Michael, did you want to say a few words?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. It's been an absolute honor to serve alongside my esteemed fellow board members for the last 3 years. It's really been a highlight of my career. I appreciate very much the opportunity I've had to dip my toe into public service, and I look forward to continuing in service. So appreciate your renomination, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to your reappointment on Monday, and glad you again decided to stay on and continue to be part of this important board.
Thank you, sir. And happy to answer any questions, and otherwise,
Any questions from any of the other members for Mr. Stelmack? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you on Monday.
all right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have Danielle Nats from who's the Deputy Fire Chief, about a donation from University of Maryland Shock Trauma Center to the Fire Department EMS Division. Deputy Chief, are you here? Oh, there you
I
are.
am here.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. How about you?
Good.
All right. Thank you very much. The Baltimore County Fire Department is requesting approval for acceptance of a donation from University of Maryland R. Adams Kelly Shock Trauma Center for Delta Ice 2-liter smart blood coolers over $5,000. The donation has a total estimated value of $24,500, which is 5 coolers, with a list price of $4,899.99 each. University of Maryland Shock Trauma has initiated an interest in donating these coolers for the purpose of uplifting our EMS whole blood program. These coolers will carry whole blood needed to treat at the site of the incident for those who may perish without this unique tool of whole blood. This donation is immeasurable and will have enormous benefit on the aid and treatment of the residents of Baltimore County.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Deputy Chief? On the coolers? I didn't know we had coolers of blood. I guess we have to on the medics. All right. No questions? All right. Well, thank you, Deputy Chief. We appreciate you being here today.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, next up, we have Mr. Brian Shepard, who's the Acting Director of Department of Rec and Parks on, this is another donation of arborist services to Cromwell Valley Park.
Yes, good
Acting Director Shepard, good to see you again. I haven't talked to you in
15 minutes.
Minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. The administration is requesting approval to accept a donation of $18,000 from the Cromwell Park Council to treat 9 of the beech trees that line the driveway entrance to Cromwell Park. The trees are in decline and suffering from beech tree leaf disease, and the hope is these 2 treatments can hold off that decay so we can enjoy these trees a little bit longer. It does not require any county funding. Epsom Property Management have been advised and are okay with the work as well. And we do appreciate the partnership with the Cromwell Valley Park Nature Council in this regard. It's been great working with them trying to put this together. And we're happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Who, I
no, that was me, Mr.
Oh.
Chairman, David Marks.
Did you change your voice? You
I don't
sounded,
think so.
you sounded like a deeper voice. I thought it was Councilman Young for a minute.
No. I just wanted to speak in favor of this. I attended the Cromwell Valley Park Council's annual meeting about a month ago, and that is a very active, vibrant organization, and really appreciate their partnership in advancing this project.
Well, thank you, Councilman Marks. Any other questions for Director Shepard on this? None? Okay. Thank you, Director Shepard. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Have a great day. Next up, we have Major Paul Borowski of the Police Department on a purchase order for JS Held LLC traffic crash investigation training courses.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you for having me. The police department applied for and received a crash reconstruction grant from the Maryland Highway Safety Office in the amount of $58,225. The grant award was reviewed and approved in November of 2025. The police department is seeking approval to use $29,000 of the grant awarded to host 2 schools. School number 1, a commercial vehicle investigation school that involves training related to commercial vehicles and the dynamics after a collision. And school number 2, an advanced event data recorder school that involves training related to the analysis of event data encountered after a collision. The vendor company, JS Held, was selected through a competitive procurement process. JS Held has several areas of expertise in accident investigations and accident reconstructions.
Okay, thank you, Major Borowski. Any questions for the Major? Major, I had a quick question. Do we actually, I would assume we do, but do we, when there's a crash that I guess is of more significance, do we obtain data from the actual vehicle that was involved in the accident? Is that what some of this training's about?
Yeah,
So
yes, sir. In some cases we do, and in some cases it does involve a search warrant.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Well, we appreciate you being here today and thank you for presenting this.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, next up, we have Nicole Frinifrock from Property Management. We have at least 5 items from different items, from pest control to turf grass systems, irrigation services, window washing, and looks like some building automation system hardware and software. So Ms. Frinifrock, take it away. Ms. Rennie Frock here? You're on. Ms. Rennie Frock? We not have her, Mr. Secretary?
She is on, Mr. Chair, but, she's unmuted. I'm not sure if she can hear us.
Sir, I can try to reach, oh, she's there. She must be having
Nicole, go for
problems.
it.
She's here. I don't know if she hears us.
I don't think she can hear us. Now we can't hear her.
Uh-oh.
Now, how about now?
There we
Yep.
go.
So sorry. Oh my
I
goodness.
saw you there. I
Good
didn't-
evening. I'm so sorry. I switched a couple buttons. Okay, are you ready for me? I have a few contracts and one amendment.
Yes, we are ready, and I gave a quick synopsis, but you've got several things to tell us about.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you. Good evening, Council Chair and Council members. The administration is requesting approval of an amendment to the contract for Home Paramount Pest Control Company for on-call pest control services at various county locations. Paragraph 2.3 of the agreement will be revised to reflect that the total compensation paid to the contractor may not exceed council-approved appropriation during the term of the contract. The contract's attachment A will be revised to add routine and on-call carpenter ant and termite services to the contract's scope of service. All of these terms and conditions will remain the same. Oh, excuse me, all other terms and conditions will remain the same. There is a 25% MWBE goal on this contract. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions on that item from the members? No? Okay, Ms. Rennie Frock, I think the next is Hummer Turfgrass Systems.
Okay, very good. The administration is requesting approval of a contract with Hummer Turfgrass Systems Incorporated to provide various athletic field services to include landscaping services, turf renovation, turf infill maintenance, and field design services at various county locations. In no event shall the total compensation paid to the contractors exceed the sum of the county council's approved appropriate amount during the entire term. The agreement shall be in effect through February 20th, 2027, and the agreement has one additional one-year renewal option. The solicitation was awarded through a cooperative purchase with the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions on this matter? None? Okay. And then there's a contract for irrigation services.
Yes, sir. Okay. Administration is requesting approval of two contracts, Monarch Landscaping LLC and K&C Grounds Maintenance Incorporated to provide irrigation services throughout the county. In no event shall the total compensation paid to the contractors exceed the sum of the county council's approved appropriated amount during the term of the agreement. The agreement shall be effective May 3rd, 2026, and shall continue for 1 year. The agreement has 4 additional one-year renewals. This contract was competitively bid and was chosen based on best qualified, best value, experience, low bid, and competitive bid. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions from the members? No? Okay. Then we have window washing services.
Okay. The administration is requesting the approval of 2 contracts, Sky Clean Incorporated and Power Washing Pro, to provide window washing services for various county buildings. In no event shall the total compensation paid to the contractors exceed the sum of the county council approved appropriated amount. This agreement shall be in effect May 27th, 2026, and shall continue for 1 year. The agreement has 4 additional one-year renewals. This contract was competitively bid and was chosen based on best qualified, best value, experience, low bid, and competitive bid.
Okay.
Question?
Any questions from the members? Ms. Finney Frock, on this particular one, this looks like it's new starting this year. Have we used these contractors in the past?
No, we have not.
So they're new to the county from our.
Yes,
Okay.
believe so.
All right, great. All right, and then we have one additional one from Honeywell International.
Okay. The administration is requesting approval of contract with Honeywell International Incorporated to provide maintenance and repair for pre-existing building automation system, hardware, and software. In no event shall the total compensation paid to the contractors exceed the sum of the county council approved appropriated amount. The agreement shall be effective April 7th, 2026 for 1-year term. The agreement has 4 additional 1-year renewals. That's it.
Okay, any questions for Miss Finney? Councilman Patoka is making fun of me because he said I called you Frinny Frock, which I think I did.
It's okay. I completely understand.
That's a tongue twister.
It is.
So no questions from the members on any of these? Okay. All right, well, Miss Finney Frock, thank you so much for being here, and sorry we had those technical difficulties up front, and we appreciate you going through all those with us.
Sure thing. Thank you all. Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next up, we have Miss Eichholz, from Deputy Director of DPW&T, on a contract for ATEC hydraulics repair services at the Gunpowder Sewage Pumping Station. Ms. Eichholz, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So today we are requesting approval of a contract for hydraulic preventive maintenance at the Gunpowder Sewage Pumping Station. This contract was advertised through purchasing as for assessment and maintenance of the hydraulic system that operates the opening and closing of critical valves in this 37 million gallon per day sewage pumping station. Under this contract, the vendor will replace any worn and outdated components such as pressure switches, gauges, and filters, and they will service the accumulator system which regulates hydraulic pressure in the system. After completion of this work, the vendor will test and calibrate the entire system to confirm that all alarms, pressure relief devices, and control functions operate as designed. This contractor was competitively bid and had 2 submissions. ATEC Hydraulics was selected as the lowest responsive bidder. The contract has an MBE goal of 0% due to the specialized services and limited pool of potential vendors. This contract will be administered as a single task with an expected duration of 90 days. The contract will terminate once the scope of work is complete and fully accepted and payment issued to the contractor. The upset limit will not exceed $282,500. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from the members? Okay, thank you, Miss Eichholz. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Deputy Director Tony Rustle also from DPWT. This one's for a contract from Broadview Waste Solutions on fluorescent bulb recycling services.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the council. The administration is seeking approval of a contract with Broadview Waste Solutions, Inc. to provide fluorescent light bulb recycling services for the county. It's an initial 1-year term, and the contract will have 4-year renewals, and we estimate a total of around $212,611 for the entire 5-year term. You should note that fluorescent light bulbs are not accepted in regular trash in Baltimore County due to their mercury content. We ask residents to bring them to our hazardous waste sites, our 3 sites, Eastern, Central, Western acceptance facilities. Baltimore County and larger businesses are required to recycle them in accordance with MDE regulations.
Okay, Deputy Director, Russell, did you see the questions from the auditor? There's a question about says, please discuss why unit prices under the proposed contract are significantly higher than unit prices under the current contract for these services. Do we know?
Yes, and I know as we all been around for cycling, and basically nowadays with everything else, with stricter regulations, there's more handling, safety, and compliance cost. There's very few recycling vendors anymore, so there's higher pricing. The lower material value, as far as there's no really offset as far as money we get back for the glass or for the mercury. The declining shift, so there's less bulbs, everything's shifting to LEDs, transportation cost, and the specialized equipment that it takes to recover the mercury out of the bulbs is what's driving price. Basically, less supply, more regulation, low value, it's higher cost per bulb. And generally we do around 47,000 bulbs a year that we recycle.
So hopefully eventually we'll be out of the fluorescent lighting business eventually.
Correct.
When it all goes to LED.
Yes, that's the hope.
We can spend it on paving then.
Oh my God, yes.
There's
Yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. The
No,
second
go ahead.
question was, it's state whether that law office reviewed the contract, and the law office reviews all agreements for legal sufficiency to determine what language is to be included. And I know Mr. Benjamin's on here, and I'll let him handle the second half.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Benjamin, thank you.
Good afternoon. As Mr. Russell said, that all agreements that come to the Office of Law are reviewed for form and legal sufficiency to determine the language to be included, and also each agreement should be reviewed to ensure scope and extent of language to include. There was a question as to whether or not it will be uniformly applied. We have to look at each agreement to determine the language to include.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Benjamin.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions from the members on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Ketch.
Yeah, Mr. Russell, can you tell us when a fluorescent bulb is not functional anymore? Do we automatically replace it with a non-fluorescent bulb?
As far as in county facilities, I believe they do, but that's more of a question for Nicole and Deb Schindel at Property Management.
Can you just, do you have to do anything to the fixture, or can you just substitute LED light for fluorescent?
There again, I hate to not know the answer, but I'm assuming that the ballast might need to be changed out from the fluorescent so you can use the LEDs, but it might not happen, might not need to happen.
Okay.
I think usually the fixture does have to be replaced unless there's some kind of unless there's an adapter, adaptable type bulb, but usually you've got to take out that whole fluorescent infrastructure and put in the new LED.
Mr. Bostwick, will you please contact Deb and find out what the county policy is in regard to replacing the fluorescent bulbs with LED or whatever? Or is that a county program, or don't we have enough funds to implement it for all of the fluorescent bulbs that are not functioning any longer?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good question, Councilman Ketch. Okay, I think we're done with that. Unless there's any other questions, we'll move on to Director Reed from OBF. That's the Office of Budget and Finance, for those who don't know our acronyms. He's going to talk about the Baltimore County Revenue Authority parking spaces, parking facilities in Towson, for employee parking spaces.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, council members. Yes, OPF, thank you for the acronym. Some people call it DBM and other things, but we're OPF since '96. And anyway, this is a request to approve a parking agreement with the Baltimore County Revenue Authority to obtain access to and use parking spaces in the Baltimore Avenue, Library, Tolbert, and Towson Square garages, basically the garages around the Towson core, for our county vehicles and our county employee vehicles in relation to our county subsidized parking program, where most employees pay $31 a month for the employee subsidy, and the county picks up the rest for the balance of 77, depending on the type of car. Basically, this is a formalization to formalize our current practice with the Revenue Authority and have it approved through you all. The estimated compensation totals $14.5 million for the entire 10-year term. Again, this would be an initial 2-year term with 1-year renewals. We have about 635 parking spaces that are currently allocated for county vehicles, and an estimated 900 employees participate in the subsidized parking program. Again, the parking rates per vehicle range from $31 to $77. And this was a 902F in best interest of the county. I think the market rate for, going in Towson, if you look at the Promenade or any other areas, would you'd be paying farther along in the hundreds of dollars a month for a monthly parking pass. And we also have the ability to work with payroll and to subsidize and to do that so only county employees pay the $31 per month. I see the auditors have a few questions, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to address these as best I can if it pleases you all.
Yeah, if you just want to go through those and then we
Yeah.
have some questions.
Sure. So the one question talks about indicate the ownership of each of the 5 garages, or did or will the county transfer ownership. So the Tolbert and the Towson Square garage are currently owned by the Revenue Authority, and the Revenue Authority owns it, and they issue the debt on it. And these two would theoretically, by the agreement, transfer back to the county in the year 2069 or the earliest if the debt service is repaid earlier. The Library Garage, Baltimore and Washington garages will transfer back to the county. They are owned by the county, but the Revenue Authority owns the lease on them, the ground lease, and they operate and maintain the garages. They will transfer back to the county in 2049. The next question talks about how the proposed agreement relates to the amended, restated, and consolidated ground lease. These agreements will remain in effect without modification. We talk about, there's another question, please describe the current arrangements under which the county utilizes Revenue Authority parking facilities, including how costs have been fully funded historically and how the proposed agreement differs from those arrangements. Page 42 of the fiscal note gives a lot of details on the arrangements, the different mechanisms that the authority, how they will maintain, clean, and repair the parking lot, and who's responsible for what. Again, this kind of formalizes that as well. Just for some background, prior to 2012, these costs were paid for out of the operating budget. In 2012, these were moved into the capital budget and paid that way through the Revenue Authority. This year, we will be moving them back into the operating budget with the formalized grant agreement and formalizing this relationship. The next question is, please describe how the parking rates for the Towson garages are established, including the role of the Revenue Authority and whether rates are designed to recover costs, generate surplus, or support operational costs. So the rates are determined by market demand and expenses of the Baltimore County Revenue Authority, as well as maintaining the coverage ratios that enable stable financial standing for the Revenue Authority, including operational and capital costs, again outlined on page 42 and 43 of the fiscal note. The rates are low for Baltimore County Revenue Authority. They are the low cost provider. $105 per space is our market rate, and the county gets a discount of $77 per month, of which the employees pay $31 a month. And a few years ago, we made that equal for all employees, because at one point it depended on when you came into county service, depended on the subsidy you got. So at this point, it's a real benefit for our employees that we're able to do that and do the easy recoupment from paychecks. Next question is, please describe any limitation or controls on the county's financial exposure under the proposed agreement. We really don't have any financial exposure. Again, if the parking levels were to drop, that's something we would work with the Revenue Authority on. Again, the Revenue Authority is a standalone entity, quasi-public, and we'd be held harmless. We also have the option to terminate the agreement with adequate notice. And then finally, please identify which categories of employees are currently eligible for the parking subsidy under the proposed agreement, and whether any changes to eligibility are anticipated. Again, anyone in the Towson core is eligible for the subsidized parking program, and we do not anticipate any changes at this time. Again, we made the decision a few years ago to make the $31 rate available to the current employees. And I believe that's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Director Reed. Any questions from the members on?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Crandall.
Thank you. Mr. Reed, you might have anticipated that I might chime in here. I don't know. So would it be fair to say that if the council did not cut the $5 or $6 million from the capital budget, that we would not be in this situation to have to formalize this agreement?
Yeah, I think it's the councilman, you pointed it out, and the concern that you'd had with the prior year and prior years and how we were funding the Revenue Authority, and this really is what we're doing now is really at the request of the council. And again, the funding was removed, and we're working to formalize this so that we are paying per space.
Well, I would venture to say that the council absolutely did not request this as far as a formalized agreement. I can't speak for my colleagues, but I'm wondering why Baltimore County employees and Baltimore County with the subsidy is paying for our employees, and our employees are paying to park in garages that the county already owns.
Because we don't own because under the agreement, we don't own the structures and the operational maintenance for some of these garages.
Well, that's under what, the ground lease agreement or under this new agreement?
The ground lease agreement.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, I understand, okay, there's a legacy contract here, but the relationship with the Baltimore County Revenue Authority is completely antiquated. Our property management agency is perfectly capable of taking care of buildings. I'm sure that they can take care of parking garages. I don't understand the purpose of the Baltimore County Revenue Authority, especially when they have their own money. They're supposed to be a standalone agency, but then yet here we are paying them for our own employees to park in our own garages. And even though the council signaled very clearly, unanimously, that Baltimore County should not fund a restaurant at a golf course for the Revenue Authority, the administration moved forward and gave them the money anyway based on prior authorization. So I think the whole relationship with the Revenue Authority needs to be called into question. It's an antiquated agency, supposed to be standalone, but they're not standalone because they keep coming to county government for money, even though they have millions of dollars in the bank. Do you know that, so we're paying for parking spaces for buildings that they maintain. They have a profitable golf operation. We're subsidizing a restaurant that the council clearly did not want the county government to fund. And yet here we are having to fork over money to them, and with the realization that their employees got bonuses last year. Baltimore County Revenue Authority employees got bonuses last year, even as they were sucking money out of Baltimore County government. So I think that, I understand there's a legacy agreement with the ground lease, and that the administration feels that they need to formalize an agreement with the Revenue Authority on these parking spaces. But this is a dollar suck. The Revenue Authority is a dollar suck out of the Baltimore County taxpayer. And I think we really need to call into question whether this agency actually needs to exist at all, and do we need to still keep funding it?
Yeah, I think Councilman, I mean, you have a greater question there than what, we are looking for, the ability for our employees to park in Towson. And if it's not going to be at the Revenue Authority, we have to look elsewhere. And this was the longstanding, we had an agreement, and we obviously sensed your frustration last May. And I'm disappointed to hear that this is not the route you wanted to go in, but we wanted to formalize in that there wouldn't be just a grant that we provided them out of the capital budget, and put something more formal together that we would pay X amount for X amount of spaces.
Well, I mean,
So if there's another thought that we could look at,
well, I guess I can appreciate, Kevin. I mean, I can appreciate that process, that thought process. It's just that I have a growing frustration, and I might be mixing issues here, but the fact that the council clearly said, don't fund a restaurant at a Baltimore County golf course in Essex. Council clearly said it. Administration gave them the money anyway. And that is a sense of frustration for me. And then when you learn that we own the buildings and we're still paying the Revenue Authority to lease parking spots that we're for parking in buildings we already own.
yeah, I think you're talking about.
I mean, what's so special? And I don't have anything personal against anybody on the Revenue Authority, their leadership or anything. But what is so special about them that we keep having to fund them in these various ways?
Well,
They
I think
are
that
a revenue suck for us.
I understand, Councilman. I think you're conflating.
Yeah,
I understand, but I think we have the separate issue that you just mentioned. But again, this is just moving forward with where we are in the Towson core in relation to having the garages that someone else maintains and pays for, shovels and does the maintenance. We have to decide, do we as Baltimore County, and I don't even know if we could get into that business, but I do know that we have 600 900 employees that we have this arrangement. I mean, whether we agree with it or not, we've got to look at what we can do for parking then around Towson core. But go ahead, sir.
Director Reed.
I think I made my point, Kevin. I appreciate where you're coming from. Thank you.
No problem, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman Crandall. Director Reed, I had a question.
Sure.
Do you know if we've ever asked or the Revenue Authority has ever volunteered there in the agreement with the Revenue Authority that we've read, there was supposed to be some kind of revenue that came back to the county at some point, especially in years where there was more profitability. And it doesn't look like we've ever received any money from them in their history. And I'm just wondering if that's ever been discussed, whether it's been floated and they couldn't give us money, or have we ever asked, like, what's the situation with that? And I know that doesn't necessarily have to do with the parking garage situation, but it does in a sense, where Councilman Crandall was asking about this, of, this agency that a lot of us don't understand the fact that we don't derive any revenue out of it towards the county, which was some of the purpose for which it was set up.
And
Sure.
Mr. Reed, before you start, it's just a good point, Chairman Ertel, just so I can chime in. This came up during budget deliberations last year. That there is a mid-90s contract between Baltimore County and the Baltimore County Revenue Authority, where any a percentage of profits from the golf course operations would return back to the county's general fund. And the county, since 1997, has not received one dime, not one dime, since 1997, based on that contract. And I just think there's some creative accounting going on with the Revenue Authority as to why they didn't see the need, and I don't think anyone ever even pressed them for it. But we have an entity here that has not lived up to their end of the contract signed, what, 30 years ago? So that's, I think that, Chairman Ertel, I think that's what you were alluding to, is that they were, there was a contractual agreement in place where the Revenue Authority was to contribute money back to Baltimore County, but we haven't seen anything. I think that's exactly what you were alluding to, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Reed. Go ahead.
No problem, Councilman. So here's what I can say based off of what we found out, and that when we looked at, there's this development fund, and it consisted of some revenues from golf operations after expenditures were invested by the golf operations. And again, I think, and I actually wasn't here in '95, but again, the idea was that we were unable to maintain and operate golf courses and various infrastructure assets for Baltimore County and be able to take on all that debt within ourselves. So again, we have this authority, which is quasi-government. It's able to issue its own debt. It takes us off our books, which brings us back to the parking garages. They are paying the debt service on that. So again, that's part of this parking goes into the debt service that they pay on these parking garages. When the debt service expires for the garages where we own the ground, those garages would come back up to us in 2049. But let's talk about the fund, because I think there's been a lot of misinformation out there, and Mr. Carpenter and I come through all financial statements going back to 1995 to 2024. And these are audited financial statements by the Revenue Authority. There was, from 95 to 2001, there was $150,000 a year that went to a recreational fund, the county's rec fund. And then any profits that were made over the golf course operations would go into this fund, in which the county would have a 50-50 split. The only year that there's been ebbs and flows over the years, and again, I can't speak to what happened, but I know the golf courses, they do very well sometimes, and then they do very poorly in other times. And there's been also investments that the Revenue Authority made in these operations. But the number that we're looking at in 2003, there's $98,900 that went into this development fund, of which theoretically 50% the county would be entitled to. And that's per their audited financial statements, what I can see going back. So I don't know, that's all I can tell you at this point. I think there's other questions of what else happened in that interim, maybe better asked to the authority itself. So we're not talking about large dollar sums of money that the authority owes us from what we can see from their financial statements.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Ketch.
Thank you very much. Kevin, do you have any idea of what the bonuses, what were they? Were they a percent of salary? Were they, just the same amount of money to every employee? And do you know the cost of the bonuses?
I don't, Councilman. I don't have any information on their payment structure for bonuses.
Liz, can you obtain that?
Certainly request it.
Okay, but they would not be required to hand over that information?
I mean, I don't think that we would have a problem getting it.
Okay. And Kevin, for you, the parking issue where you had different employees paying different amounts for a while, are there any other county? I know it was the situation with, it was either health insurance or retirement for, I think, the firefighters. I don't remember, but where they were paying different amounts of money. Now, are there any other county employees who have benefits that are paying different amounts of money, but they're getting the same benefits?
Yeah, good memory, Mr. Ketch. What you're referring to is the bifurcated rate structure we had for our active health rates. And we did do away with that, I believe, 2 years ago, where all employees, it used to be those hired after 2007, paid a greater amount for family coverage. That was a commitment of the last administration to break that down and do one rate. So everyone now pays the same rate as far as active health insurance.
Retirement, of course, retirement, it depends on what system you're in.
Well, yes, there is now 2 trusts for the retirement system, Plan A and
Mhm.
Plan B. Plan A is closed as of 2007, so anyone hired after 2007 goes into a different retirement system. And again, that would be a different structure for folks.
Then we charge employees for the benefit of parking, $31 a month. Are there any other benefits that county employees receive that they're charged for it? And are they paying the same amount, or does it differ in regard to when they were hired or whatever?
I can't say there are some differences, I think, in some of the retiree benefits as far as life insurance, but
Right.
Yeah, that's again the new way of how we've been able to enjoy lower health insurance benefits and rates. But as far as active health and retiree health, there are some fluctuations for those that hired after 2007. But what you've seen recently is more of these rates being normalized to the best of possible, to the extent that they are financially stable as possible. So again, one of the low-hanging fruit was making the parking rates $31 per employee. I think that was 3 years ago. And the health insurance.
I guess I don't quite understand what you're saying in regard to retirement. I mean, if there are 2 systems, of course, according to what benefits you take, whether it be family or husband or whatever, aren't those rates all the same for all employees though?
As far as the pension system?
No, I'm talking about as far as health benefits.
Yeah, health
I'm
benefits
sorry,
again,
yeah.
since 2007 we have one rate structure for all active employees.
Okay,
And
good.
pre-retirees. Yeah.
And the retirement system, any the issue of charging certain people more money than others just depends on what retirement system the person is a member of. There are no other variations in the from employees.
So people pay different amounts into the retirement system based on their employee class that was agreed
Sure.
upon in union negotiations.
Right. But there's no 2 people in county government that have the same benefits, the same choices. They're paying different amounts of money.
Well, I mean,
I understand.
okay,
what
so
you're
no,
saying.
if I have
Yeah.
a Cigna family plan,
Yeah.
and then someone else that has a Cigna family plan is paying the same amount, if that makes sense.
Say that again.
So if I have a Cigna family plan,
Yeah,
then anyone else that has that plan would pay the same amount per month.
of course. Yeah.
But again, I might choose Kaiser, or I might
Yeah.
have
Oh,
employee
no,
spouse
I totally
or
understand.
parent-child. So yeah, it's a variable depending on the choice.
We've gotten okay. I'm fine. I just want to make sure that none of our employees are paying more than some other employee that's has the same identical benefits. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Catch. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I have one last quick comment.
Yes, Councilman Randall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to crystallize for everyone, at least in my mind, what is going on here. The council said last spring, we do not want to fund a restaurant on a golf course. So we took away, I forget the exact amount, it's $5 or $6 million out of the capital budget. Now what the administration has done is moved the parking garage, made a contract, put it into the operating budget. So not only does the Revenue Authority get their funding for the golf course, when we clearly said that we don't want county money going towards the restaurant at the golf course, we're now paying for parking spots. So the Revenue Authority makes out just as well as they would have if we never even took a vote at that last capital budget season. So it's disconcerting to me that there's a lot of creative stuff going around to make sure that the Revenue Authority is made whole when they're sitting on millions of dollars of assets. Just wanted to make that point. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Patoka. Thank you, Councilman Crandall.
To Councilman Crandall's point, we're going to be acting on the FY27 budget moving forward. Director Reed, is there implication for the fiscal 27 budget with what you have before us?
These employee subsidies will be budgeted in the operating budget, and in our vehicle and parking program, like it was prior to 2012.
Is that
So
done
again,
by agency?
No, it's one department. It's vehicles. It's O10.
Is it in your budget?
Yeah, it's considered my budget.
Gotcha. Okay. Should we get this sorted out before we act on the operating budget for fiscal 27?
I
and
think
have some level of comfort. I mean, I think Councilman Crandall's points are valid.
Yeah. I mean, I think the good news here is if it's being moved back to the operating budget, it can't be spent on building new buildings. Is that correct?
Correct. And, you know, there was an agreement signed. Again, I think, going back, you know, Councilman Crandall, two issues I understand. What the signal from the council is that we ended the practice, right? We're no longer going to be budgeting for the Revenue Authority in the capital budget. We hear you. You cut it out, but there was prior appropriations and a signed agreement with them that allowed a project to continue. But at the same time, we need to find a solution for our employees to park in garages that are owned by the Revenue Authority and managed and maintained, that offer a discounted rate that can take our payroll system. So I just, you know, this was trying to correct something that we were going to end going forward because we heard you. Again, my concern right now is, in the item before you, is what are we going to do about having people, our 900 employees, park in the Towson Court? I understand your stance, but there's two different issues of prior approved money, and I understand your thoughts on that. But again,
Kevin, the only reason that money was approved was because the language in the budget was completely misleading. It said $5 million or whatever the amount was in budget year to budget year, and up until about 21, the language in the budget said for parking garages located in the 5th district. And then there was a tweak to the language, and no one caught it because who would? And it said for parking garages in the 5th district and other collaborative projects. And that little couple word thing changed the whole scope of the appropriation. So I said during the budget season last year, we've been hoodwinked. The council has been hoodwinked. We didn't know what we were voting for because of those little words that were inserted into the budget that allowed the Revenue Authority to get money for capital projects instead of parking garages. So, you know, I don't really want to hear about prior appropriations because they were done under the cloud of changing a couple words in a billions of dollar budget. And someone was supposed to catch that. And we didn't. So the prior appropriations to me are completely under a dark cloud. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not buying it. I think this was calculated. I think it's been calculated from the beginning, and I don't like it one bit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Crandall. Any others before we move
Just
on?
one final, Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
one final
yes,
comment.
Councilman Patoka.
I will say that the bonuses are troubling. And so, like, if the auditor's office is able to get clarity on that, that would be extremely helpful.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right, so I think we're going to move on. Thank you, Director Reed. We're now on to Deputy Director Lawrence Richardson of HHS on I think he's talking today on a special supplemental nutrition program for WIC. It's Bill
Yes.
2726, actually.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chairman Ortel, members of the council. The administration is seeking your approval of a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $236,867 for our Women, Infant, and Children grant program. The majority of the funds will be going towards our operating expenses as we have an increase of about 700 applicants for the WIC program, and then $78,000 of the funds will be going towards a renovation of our lab within the Lansdowne WIC Center. And I'll be happy to take any questions on the supplemental.
Okay. And Director Richardson, this is a federal pass-through money, correct?
Correct. This is a pass-through from USDA through State of Maryland, MDH to Baltimore County.
And is that fluid as applicants pick up? We add that amount of applicants that we have.
It's formula driven. So the USDA sees the increase and provides a supplemental based on that. And then we requested the additional $78,103 additionally in order to do the renovation in Lansdowne.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the members? Okay. Thank you, Director Richardson. Appreciate you being here with us today.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up, we have Bill 2826. This is from Councilman Ketch. Zoning regulations, uses permitted in the BL zone lawn treatment company. Councilman Ketch, did you want to address this?
Yes, just very briefly. This bill, it took me a long time to make the decision as to whether or not to introduce it. And after a lot of consideration and research, I decided to. And my concern was this site is in Jacksonville, Four Corners. It is right across the street from the Exxon station where there was a 26,000 gallon gasoline leak about 20 some years ago. And I wanted to make sure that this legislation that allows for storage of lawn service chemicals, that it really wouldn't pose a danger to the Jacksonville community. So that's what the bill does. It allow a business which has been in northern Baltimore County for 10, 20, 30 years, is looking for a location to store chemicals that they use when they treat lawns. And so that's what the bill does.
Councilman Ketch, I have a question.
Sure.
So this is asking uses permitted in the BL zone.
Yes.
Are no lawn treatment companies allowed in the BL zone currently?
Storage.
Storage of the chemical?
Correct.
Is the chemical here dry or is it being mixed on site with some kind of?
All the above.
All of the above. So this would allow it in any BL zone in the county
Yes.
and not just Jacksonville.
I mean, if you would feel feel better to limit it to Jacksonville, that would be fine with me. I have gotten tremendous communication from the Jacksonville area because of the clientele of this company. So it's, I assume, Mr. Bostwick, that it can be limited to, well, I know it can be.
It could be more limited, perhaps. We can't get too, in the weeds as far as
Right.
that. Currently, it is limited to a CR district overlay, meaning it would be in the BL zone and also have a CR district overlay.
Right.
No retail sales, and that they must have a license issued by the Maryland Department of Agriculture and any pesticides regulated by the US EPA.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I was so reluctant and very concerned because of the experience in that community of 26,000 gallons of gasoline leaking into the environment, polluting wells. Someday if you want to hear about it, I can tell you, it was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. So the last thing in the world I want to do is jeopardize the people in that area with chemicals that may be a problem. But I don't. I think there's enough safety measures and that it's going to be okay.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, when you say the CR zone, you mean a commercial revitalization zone, or it's?
The CR district is a commercial rural overlay
yeah.
designation. So
it would be BL with the CR.
Correct. It would be permitted in the underlying BL zone, but it would have to have the CR district overlay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilman Crandall.
So I can't imagine the CR, the commercial rural overlay, is a very prevalent zone or overlay in Baltimore County. So since we have 2 weeks on the bill, I don't know if we have anyone from planning on the call, but perhaps Ms. Walker can help out. Can planning let us know where the CR overlays on a BL are in Baltimore County so we can sort of assess how widespread the bill may pertain to?
Yes, sir. I could talk to them about it and get the information for you.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should all be copied on that, I guess, moving forward.
Would a better course be to put a CR overlay on this property? What would that entail?
Well, this property has a CR district overlay.
So why is it not allowed?
Well, it is just not a permitted use in the BL zone. So this bill allows it as a permitted use in BL, but to your points, to the points of the council members that are concerned about it being widespread, we have narrowed the scope so that it is only permitted in a BL zone that has a district overlay with the CR. So it kind of narrows the scope because the CR district is a commercial rural district overlay, so it can only be applied or assigned to areas beyond the URDL, meaning outside the URDL. And so it can't be within the URDL, so that kind of limits it already.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes more sense. Okay. Any other questions from the members? Okay. Thank you, Councilman Ketch. That was a learning experience for me. Didn't know about CR zones.
Oh, okay.
We're not in the URDL.
Well, you're not going to have them in your district.
I know. Okay. Next bill is Bill 2026. This is from Councilman Marks. Development impact fees. And I know there's been some changes to the original bill that we had before. Councilman Marks, did you want to cover these? You're muted, Councilman Marks, by the way. Councilman Marks, you're muted.
Gotcha. There you are. Okay,
There you
thank you
go.
very much. Thank you. Let me just, if it's all right with you, Mr. Chairman, just speak generally about this. And if Mr. Bostwick wants to go through the amendment, well, that would be great. Okay, so in 2019, I sponsored the legislation that created Baltimore County's impact fee ordinance. We did not have the ability to do that until the Maryland General Assembly provided it to Baltimore County. That legislation required a review of the impact fee structure, which to the best of my knowledge never occurred. I want to make it very clear that I support impact fees. I sponsored the bill in 2019, and for those of you who were around in 2019, it was a tough bill to pass. But I think the fee should be based on a justifiable calculation and reviewed periodically, and that has not happened. Ms. Belcastro, could you put up the screen shot? What Ms. Belcastro is going to put up is a spreadsheet that looks at how impact fees are calculated in many of the metropolitan counties throughout the state. We calculate based on square foot, but other counties assess one standard per dwelling regardless of the type of unit. Chris, you got that?
It's up, Councilman
It
Marks.
should be up,
It's up.
Councilman.
Okay, it's up. Thank you. So yeah, then this is provided from the Department of Legislative Reference. So, you know, what you can see here is that, you know, this is not an exact science, and, you know, it's kind of, I don't think there's any perfect way to assess an impact fee, right? You could do it by square foot, and, you know, I've read some criticism about that, but you could also do it by dwelling, and there's no perfect way to do this. I do believe that what we should do is prompt that review of the development impact fee schedule that has not been done. And until that time, place a reasonable cap on what we currently charge. And by the way, the cap we are considering, and I'll let Mr. Bostwick talk about this, would still bring us more revenue for the largest sized homes than some of the counties that are in Maryland anyway. So with that, Mr. Bostwick, can you kind of talk through the amendment we've come up with? And I have shared this with the administration, and I think the administration is supportive of this amendment.
So the amendment that is being considered by Mr. Marks would place a cap of $35,000 on an impact fee. My understanding is this would still make the cap higher than the average fee collected by the county of about $24,000. It would also remove language in the bill where it states that where it tweaks the definition of occupiable, that is the bill as drafted, it states enclosed and suitable for year-round use, embodying walls, floors, and ceilings. The amendment would take out language that says that are similar to the rest of the dwelling unit. The reason for that is because phrases like that with words like similar are not always easy for PAI to calculate it, because it's kind of in the eyes of the beholder. What does similar mean? So we realized that would probably be something that should be taken out, at least until a study is done, to maybe zero in on that better. So it just takes out the word similar to the rest, the phrase similar to the rest of the dwelling unit. It also removes the language related to any potential refunds, and in lieu of that phraseology, it directs the county to study and review the methodology and calculations and amounts charged and other factors related to the impact fee, and within 6 months submit a report to the county executive and the council. This would really be kind of a bigger picture view than what the law currently states. There is a subsection in the current law that calls for a periodic review of the impact fees, but this would take more of, I guess, a 30,000-foot view of impact fees. And then there would be an exception added to the law that would exempt an individual lot of record for a single-family dwelling that was created prior to July 1, 2020, but was not part of a larger subdivision process. And the date of July 1, 2020 is the date that the original impact fee law took effect. So it would harken back to that period for lots that were created before that for individual lots for single-family homes. So in other words, if you had one prior to that time, you would not have to pay an impact fee because you may have waited. And just to make sure, and I believe that's all.
Okay. Any questions from the members on this? I know we have some speakers as well.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Padoka.
So the bill, I understand the amendment puts a cap on it, but the bill itself, if I could get clarification on what the impact fee rate is currently and what this would change the impact fee to be.
There would be no change of that. The rate of $6 per square foot for single-family detached, single-family semi-detached, single-family attached, and multifamily for-sale condominiums. Those are the four categories currently in the law. They are set at $6 per square foot, and they would not be changed. The only clarification on that would be that it would specify that the $6 per square foot rate is of occupiable space, and that is what the bill as drafted clarified.
So what does it do for basements, finished and unfinished?
So if a basement is, I don't want to speak for how PAI will calculate this, Mr. Patoka, because it would be up to them. But if in the bill as drafted, it states occupiable means space that is designed for human occupancy, equipped with means of egress, light, and ventilation. Those two things are currently in the law before the bill. And then the bill would include enclosed and suitable for year-round use, embodying walls, floors, and ceilings, climate controlled, and with ceilings at least 7 feet in height, except under beams, ducts, or similar obstructions, or under stairs. So a climate controlled basement with ceilings at least 7 feet in height, except for beams, ducts, or similar obstructions, would be counted because that would be occupiable space.
But by definition, an unfinished basement probably isn't climate controlled.
I think they are.
Not always.
Don't you need it for the pipes so they don't freeze and things like that?
Assuming you have pipes there, but
Yeah. So I apologize.
No.
Yeah.
I just was wondering, what's the rationale for the language change that we're now defining? I just would like to look a little bit under the hood on that. The other thing, could we throw the chart back up, Ms. Belcastro, that was presented initially? So thank you, Ms. Belcastro. So it's got two columns, the jurisdiction, the calculation. And then I think what would be helpful to me would be a third column, if we're able to do this, as to when the jurisdiction introduced impact fees. So for example, in Baltimore County, while we did introduce some impact fees in 2019 and 2020, they weren't really meaningful because the yield was zero. So I don't think it was until a few years later when we implemented a meaningful impact fee bill. And the reason I'm saying this to the public and to my colleagues is because it's my opinion that we've been playing catch up in Baltimore County for decades, where other jurisdictions like Howard County have been ahead of us because they've been able to put in amenities that are important to communities because they did have a revenue source in the form of impact fees. Where in Baltimore County, we did not have that revenue source, so we had to scrape for any amenity that we had without the help of people that were building communities in our county. So I'm not sure who developed this chart, but if we could see the year in which impact fees were implemented in a meaningful way, or how many years impact fees have been in place in our county and in other jurisdictions.
Councilman Patoka, I did that chart. I will send you the report I did it from. I don't know if
Okay.
that's in there, but I'll send you the report.
Okay, thank you, Councilman.
And Councilman Patoka, I do want to thank you because you helped me get this bill passed. You remember how difficult it was.
Yes, it
Um,
was when I first became a council member.
It was very difficult, and I'm a bit frustrated we have not had that review, quite frankly. I don't know why it never happened, but I think this is the right path forward.
Does the report have data in it that would allow us to identify how long impact fees have been in place in our well, we know in our jurisdiction, but in other jurisdictions, so that we have an apples to apples comparison?
Well, I can tell you because I wrote my master's thesis on this. Anne Arundel, Carroll, and Montgomery have had them since at least the late 1990s. So we are way behind on this.
Yeah, so that's, wow, 20, 25 years of catch up at least.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Anyone else before we move on? Okay, thank you, Councilman Marks.
And for clarity, Mr. Chair, catch up meaning CATCH, second word, UP, not
UP.
catch up.
No ketchup.
Correct.
Nothing with an R in it.
Yes.
No Frinny frock.
Frenny frock, right.
Next up is Bill 20. Oh, and we have speakers on 2026. Sorry, Miss Belcastro. I knew that, but I was trying to move ahead. So do you want to call speakers? And we have, it looks like 6 speakers on this.
That is, yeah, that's correct, Chairman. Our first speaker is Dale Lutt. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You may begin your testimony when you're ready and unmute yourself.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. I appreciate you letting me speak today. My name is Dale Lute. You were close on the pronunciation, but everybody says that. I've been a builder for about 15 years now, Baltimore and Harford County. I was happy when Tim asked me to speak about this today. Tim Catrocco asked me to. I mean, other than going from 0 to 30, 40, sometimes $60,000 in impact fees. And I'm not sure if this issue has already been addressed, but I've had probably 3 instances now of where an impact fee was actually issued to a lot that it was not even supposed to be issued to. So I bought a lot for $55,000 that I already owned. When I went to get a permit on that, the impact fee on a $55,000 lot would have been around $29,000. So you're over half the cost of the lot, which is another thing to look at is the area. You're not always in the area where you can lose $30,000 building a home because you're not going to get the same return area to area. So that wasn't even supposed to be on there. I also had a house that had a tear down on it that I had a $38,000 impact fee issued to. That one I just went myself to Sally and talked to her. But again, the issue being somebody that doesn't know that is probably just going to pay that impact fee and just lose that money when it's not issued correctly. And I know that's something that recently has been corrected in some ways, but just in my experience, building in Harford County also, as Ms. Matoka said, has had impact fees for a good while. Having a set impact fee to where when you're negotiating to buy a piece of land or to build a house for a customer that already has a piece of land, having a set impact fee per house to me is way easier than per square foot. You already know, unless there was a tear down on that lot, you know, and you can present to somebody or a person that you're buying a piece of land from that this is what the cost is that I have to pay on top of my building expenses. To where right now it's kind of confusing. Also totally disagree with the basement and garage being included. They don't include the basement and the square footage when you sell a house. You're just including the top 2 floors as the square footage. So another thing considered would just go top 2 floors without the garage and basement altogether. But that's my time. I appreciate you allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here today. Okay, Ms. Belcastro, next speaker.
Certainly, one moment, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is on by phone. It is Mr. Tim O'Shea. Mr. O'Shea. Seem to be unable to unmute him. Mr. O'Shea. Well, I'm going to leave Mr. O'Shea on his phone on here. In the meantime, I'll go to the next speaker, who is, I know I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, Travis Omopariola.
Periola?
Are you there, sir?
Omopariola, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that, sir, how badly did we butcher that?
It's no, just like Mr. Dale. I'm fine. I'm used to it. Good afternoon, evening, everyone. My name is Travis Omopariola, and I'm not a builder, but I am an investor in Baltimore County. I live in Kingsville area. I'm an investor, a permit runner, and also a consultant and a real estate agent. So I see every aspect from start to finish, as Mr. Dale was just explaining, of this entire process. And everyone at the county knows who I am. Travis Omopariola. I'm in PIA, Pete Gutwell's office. Karen Lewis is no longer there, et cetera. But the issue that I have, the impact fee is, I don't want to be redundant here, but the impact fee is extremely convoluted right now with how they execute the pricing. It depends on who actually looks at it, who breaks the math down to say, oh, well, this part of the basement, that part of the basement. It honestly is a quite mess here. I had a couple of builders, because part of my job is to find land that's in Baltimore County, because that's my backyard, and I import investors out of town, or some investors that's locally within our surrounding counties. A lot of them have left because there's not a straight answer on how to execute the impact fee. Some of them may be as high as Mr. Dale said, $60,000. Some of them are less. One I just had returned. They have no structure on how to implement this. And that's the biggest frustration with most of the investors and builders. Now, we understand that this is, most counties have it. Harford County, as you said, has had it for decades. Same thing with Howard County, Montgomery County. My issue with it is, yes, we can sit here and say, hey, we need to bring in money to the county. I'm for it. I live here. I agree with it. I see what the impact fees actually do for Montgomery County schools. Amazing. But that structure of it is the biggest concern, and their dollar amount. The county goes from $0 to, it was a percentage based on the sale, but apparently that they couldn't grasp correctly. And then it went to $6 a square foot. I've seen all of them. My understanding, especially, I have a client of mine who owns a lot down in 21207. She owned it for years. It was in a family, and then she got hit with a $40,000 bill. This is a neighborhood. This is an area that maybe sell sells for $500,000. By the time you buy the land, by the time you do the construction, by the time you do your holding costs, there's no money left at the prices that it is now. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Oma Periola,
Yes.
question. So it looks like, you know, while we have this fee per or rate per square foot, the only other jurisdiction close to us that has that is Howard County. How do you see have you worked down there? Do you see, are they doing something different with it there that's less confusing or easier to understand? I'm just trying to get a sense of, does it have to do more with the rate per square foot
So here,
versus like a dwelling, like a per dwelling?
It's more to do with the rate per foot because Howard County, and I hate to say it this way, but Howard County can command the dollar amount. It can absorb the impact fee. The actual county can. Baltimore County, only elite parts, let's say Falls Road. I'm using my real estate background here. Falls Road, maybe Perry Hall, Kingsville, certain parts of Pikesville, etc. Howard County as a whole, everyone knows when you go to Howard County, they got great school district, they have this, so that people are willing to pay for it, so therefore that impact fee can be absorbed by the end user. That's realistically what it boils down to. So they have a set, everybody knows when you go to Howard County, this is what you're paying for. When you come to Baltimore County, and I'm not trying to be political here, not by any means, but when you come into Baltimore County, you have more areas that cannot absorb this type of fee. I won't name any because I'm not trying to sound subjective or point anything out, but you have areas that cannot absorb this. You have actually, in Howard County, you have more areas that can, and Baltimore County have a lot more areas that cannot. So when you have one of the highest impact fees, $6, it doesn't make affordable housing anymore. There's a lot of people who's taken homes and taken, me myself being one, I've pulled over 248 permits in Baltimore County. That's why everybody knows me there. And I've been a part of at least 100 homes in a short span of not even 10 years yet, like 9.5 is right now. And we've been very successful with, building homes. I remember not even too long ago, right after COVID, 339,000. We can never go back to those numbers because A, COVID, and B, that all of the resources that's coming around us are getting more and more expensive. So therefore, that's why we have, again, prime example, my one friend that I'm thinking of, she wanted to go ahead and build a home and make an affordable housing in 21207 zip code, but she had to just go sell the land because once she did the numbers, it didn't make sense. The impact fee completely just killed the deal. And that's what we're finding out over and over. I just pulled a permit in Cambridge this morning, 0 impact fee. They told me we don't charge impact fees because we want more revenue as a whole for the city of Cambridge. I live personally in York, PA, 0 impact fee. Most of the surrounding counties around us either have 0 or very low impact fees. Our southern borders, they're more expensive, but for most people, the closer you get to DC, the more expensive it is, which we all know, and people can afford it. So they can absorb that big dollar amount because of the jurisdiction. So that is basically the dollar amount for everyone. So that's what I'm seeing. That's what a lot of my builders have retired temporarily until we figure this out, or they have moved to other counties. Carroll County is becoming big now with the construction because Carroll County, as we just saw, is a flat rate of $3,500. Now, I'm not saying go to $3,500. Carroll County is pretty cheap and antiquated, I would say. But other counties, Harford County, they do a lot. I was just up there to permit today, pulling one. I paid the $10,000 literally today, and it's very simple. And it's not if I can build a 30,000 square foot house versus a 10,000 square foot house or a 4,000 square foot house. They just say, hey, this is what we have. Please give us this money. And they've been using it for many, many, many years now. And it's very simple. It's extremely simple. And then, not to go on a tangent here, but the permit process, again, back to that, they don't know how to handle this at all. I mean, it is what it is. They don't know because every day, and as I tell my clients who hire me to pull their permits, it's day to day. I may tell you one thing today, I might tell you another thing tomorrow. It's day to day at the county. And I love everyone at the county. They all know me, but they know that it's very frustrating because there's no handle on how to handle the permit process and then adding on to the impact process. And I just had them refund one. It said not exempt on the GIS. I pulled the permit for my client. He actually paid 20 grand extra for both lots. Then I paid the $293. 2 weeks later, I look at my portal. It was a $22,000, almost $22,000 impact fee, and he paid it. But then something happened about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, where they said, "Well, if it says exempt, then it's exempt." And Sally Nash actually refunded my impact fee. But you see what I'm saying about how uncontrolled this is, and the dollar amount, because I had the same house twice, and one was less than the other, and it depends who as what the one gentleman was describing. It depends who actually sits there and dissects and say, all right, well, I'm not going to count the stairs. I'm not going to count this. I'm not going to count the garage. I'm not going to count this. I've already had the same house, exactly the same, two different prices within. The difference was around $2,500, $3,000. That's huge.
Yep. Okay, well, that's all good to know. We appreciate your input.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Belcastro, next speaker. Unless there's other questions for. Okay.
I'm gonna try Mr. O'Shea again. He said he's on by phone. Mr. O'Shea?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin your
Okay.
testimony.
All right, give me 1 second, please.
Sure.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Timothy O'Shea. I've been a Baltimore County home builder for the past 40 years. Actually, it's been 41 years. I specialize in doing small subdivisions, minor subdivisions, and build smaller and affordable housing for Baltimore County families. I've built hundreds of homes over the past 40 years. I currently have 2 minor subdivisions processing through the county at this time, and I am waiting for them to be approved. So I wanted to take the time today to thank this council for revisiting the issue regarding the impact fees. This recent change of increasing the impact fee to $6 per square foot of non-occupiable space has placed an unreasonable financial burden on any home buyer looking to locate their family in Baltimore County. Using the $6 calculation causes a new homeowner who intends to buy a simple 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,500 square foot starter home with a garage to have to pay an impact fee of excess of $30,000. This is just the permit fee for a starter home. Please keep in mind our additional costs. It often takes up to a year to get building permit for a house where the minor subdivision is approved. The 2 minor subs that I am currently processing through the county have already been 18 months, probably still have several months to go. And when they were approved, I did not anticipate these impact fees, which will, make it more difficult for people to afford them. I think that's about all I have to say, but I would suggest that we revisit how you calculate it, as the previous gentleman said, from $6 a foot to $4 a foot, and calculate that on the living space alone, and don't calculate it on the garage, front porches, unfinished basements, etc. That would substantially cut that down, and it would still be a hardship, but it would be a little bit more bearable for homeowners that are trying to purchase and for builders that are trying to build homes. As I borrow money from the banks aren't going to want to front these impact fees. So for smaller builders that spec homes, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to come out of pocket on top of their initial investment to get loans. So I do believe that this has to be reduced in some manner. So I thank the council for listening to me, and hope this helps. Any questions?
Mr. O'Shea, I don't mean to be a smartass here, but are you saying you believe a starter home is at 2,500 square feet? Is that the average starter home these days?
No, I just picked an average. I built the house from 1,800 to 35. So I just picked a mediocre. So let's just say a starter home is 1,800 square feet. If you have a little one-car garage built in or a front porch on it, it's still the math. It still adds up to in the mid-20s.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know if that's the market these days for.
No, well, it depends. on what market
Everything's
you're in.
gotten
I think
bigger.
it has, and it's probably going to have to start getting smaller because the cost of fuel, the cost of everything is going up, which is just making it more difficult for anybody to purchase a home. So, I guess they're going to have to start downsizing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
I appreciate.
Any other questions for Mr. O'Shea? None. Okay. All right. Sorry. Ms. Belkash.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is Sharonda Huffman. Ms. Huffman, you're on. You may unmute yourself and begin your testimony.
Ms. Hoffman, you with us?
You have to unmute yourself, Ms. Huffman. I just unmuted you. Oh, there you go. We can't hear you. You're unmuted, but we can't hear you speak. I think she just jumped off, Chairman.
Yeah, you want to move on to the next speaker, and we'll grab her when she gets back.
Absolutely. Our next speaker is Ted Russell. Mr. Russell, you are on. You may begin your testimony when you're ready. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon, Council. Thank you for taking some time for me today. I'm going to yield my time back to the Council because a lot of the other testimonials have really touched on the topics that I'm here today. I am a builder and I'm suffering some of the same constraints, and it's the uncertainty. The only real point I would try to make is that this should be resolved quickly. We've got a number of projects that are ready to come out and people that are anxious and because they just don't know what the cost of their projects are going to be. And so for many of the same reasons that you've heard here today, I'm encouraging the council to pass something that is clear and understandable and that is reasonable so that we stop losing potential residents to our neighboring counties and our state, because I do think that is a real impact that this could have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Ms. Belcastro.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Vada.
Ms. Sharonda Hoffman is back.
Sorry
Okay.
about that. It was the computer. But good evening, Council Chair Ortel and the council. I did have some concerns about the bill only because the public was not made aware of any amendments. It's not on the website. And so it's really hard to prepare what you think because I have worked in coalitions throughout the state, including Howard County, Montgomery County, and I know that there is a need for impact fees. But it sounds like the bigger problem is coordination with PIA. I have, talked to permits before, and they have said sometimes the bills that come through this council, may not be in alignment with things that happened in the past. So I don't want to delay any projects, but I also want to recognize that if you did decide to change something, maybe it should be per house versus, or per unit versus per square foot. If you don't have the technology to calculate it correctly within permits, because I have gone to permits and someone will tell me something different every other day, and that's probably a training issue, but we probably need to provide clarity. But I just want to say that it's not really fair to the public that someone who has questions about some of these issues does not get the information before the other people who probably were asked to speak. And so if I have heard about this bill when it first was introduced, and all of you had raised some concerns, but the public was not included in the conversation. And if this is going to be voted on Monday, and we're just finding out about the amendments today, that is really an issue in process. And the same person who has come against the school board for transparency is doing the exact same thing. So I just want to put that on record. I am not against helping the developers, but I also need to stress that, you know, Councilman Patoka had earlier brought to my attention that nobody's collecting money on these fees. And I see in Hartford County, you know, they have fees. The Howard County fee is $10. And I do believe it's probably I do know that real estate is better there, but I also don't believe that Baltimore County is not worth anything. This is why we had inclusionary housing in Baltimore City, because they thought they just had to give money away. So I ask you also to ask your subject matter experts before you go forward with this bill, and ask the auditor to do an actual report, because she couldn't give a report with all these different variables. And so you don't know, we don't know, and we can't just go off of whatever somebody has asked somebody to say. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary,
Yes.
or a question to Mr. Boswick.
Yes, sir.
So this bill was held over, correct?
Yes.
How many work sessions have been held on this bill so far?
3 now.
3. There was an amendment to this bill that was floated before the last legislative session, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we've had the maximum number of work sessions you can have on a bill, correct?
Just about. We might be able to squeeze in one more, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I have a question for Ms. Irwin now.
Yes.
Ms. Irwin, your auditors went through this bill in great detail, correct? They usually do.
I mean, I don't know exactly. We look at things. I don't know what you're asking.
The question is, you went through this bill like you do every other bill, correct?
We typically, the council to the council writes the fiscal notes for the council sponsored legislation. We look at fiscal impact, and we look at it typically. I mean, we don't do a deep dive into fiscal impact on a council sponsored piece of legislation typically at the time of after the bill is put forward. A deep dive would require us to, you know, really have a lot of time to dive into it, and we would need to be asked to do that before the bill is introduced.
I guess my question though is, your office has been involved in looking at the receipts that Baltimore County receives from impact fees, because you review the budget every year. I mean, that's part of the material.
We're generally aware of the fact that we haven't seen much in the way of receipts. We're aware of that. We keep our eyes on that.
Right. Okay. I really find it interesting that I'm being called out by someone who questions transparency, but I never heard the same criticism of the previous county executives administration. We were supposed to get a review of the impact fee structure. We never got that. And this bill advances that review of impact fees. And, you know, that never gets, you know, that's a very important point here. We've had 3 work sessions on this bill. We have discussed it. We've taken input from many different stakeholders, And we have before us, I think, what is a very reasonable amendment. So I would like to ask Mr. Boswick if he could please make sure that the amendment for this bill is put up on the website today. Can you do that, Mr. Boswick?
Yes, we certainly can. We had the amendment, the prior amendment that was under consideration up, but we took that down today because we knew that this one was going to be coming up. And we didn't want to be premature in putting it up because we wanted to make sure that the council had an opportunity to discuss it. And now that it has and people have weighed in, we will do that. We just didn't want to confuse people.
Yeah, and one more thing I've asked Mr. Boswick to do, and this will be reflected in the amendment. I've asked him to look at the recent legal decisions impacting impact fees, Sheets versus El Dorado County. Maybe Ms. Hoffman is familiar with these court decisions. I don't know. But this effort to look at impact fees will also examine the recent legal decisions. And hopefully we can get a fairer, better system at the end of the 6-month period. So thank you very much, Mr. Boswick.
Certainly, sir.
Mr. Chair?
I'm here. Next speaker, please.
Certainly.
You don't have to confer with me to call the next speaker.
Yes, sir.
You're in charge.
Our next speaker is Candy Vada. Ms. Vada, you are on. You may begin your testimony and unmute yourself when you're ready. I'm not sure she is on the meeting, but I tried unmuting her myself, but I cannot.
Okay.
She is the last speaker for this item.
Well, if she shows up, we'll take her
Let
out of
me,
order.
give me 1 second because it looks like she's on here twice. Let me try removing this one and let me try this one.
Ms. Vada?
Try the second one. Neither one of these I can unmute. I'm not
We
sure.
got them all, but they're
Oh, we have one on.
Uh-oh.
Ah, we cannot hear you, but we can see you.
You can't hear me though.
Yep, we
There.
can hear you now. Now we can.
You can
Perfect.
hear me now. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Hi. Good evening at this point, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come speak with you, and thank you all for your service to Baltimore County. My name is Candy Vada, and my husband is Chad Vada, and we're both born and raised in Baltimore County. In 2009, Chad and I were married, and since then we've had 4 amazing children. We're established in Baltimore County and have lived here in Kingsville since 2009. I'm not a builder, I'm not an investor. I'm just a teacher with Baltimore County Schools for the past 20 years. My husband works in Baltimore County and our kids do attend Baltimore County Public Schools. I just wanted to take a minute and talk about the impact fee that's currently being placed and the significance that it places on single family owners such as myself. My husband and I are looking to build a house on a single family lot that was subdivided by past family members in the 1960s. Chad and I are very grateful for the opportunity and to build a house that fits our family. And single lots provide an opportunity for families like mine to build forever homes in neighborhoods where they're established and ideally keep it affordable. While others may be able to absorb the cost of an impact fee, it puts single lot owners like Chad and myself at a crossroads of whether we're really able to afford to build a place of stability for our family. I'm sorry, I'm just going through, looking through my notes. The past 3 years have been challenging for Chad and I as we work toward building our house. And now that we're nearing the end and ready to break ground, we were surprised to find out that we're now faced with a large lump sum of money for the impact fee before our building permit can be released. And I'm just hopeful that as a community, we're encouraging home ownership and not making it harder, especially for single lot owners and middle-class families such as Chad and I. And I'm hopeful for your consideration and taking a closer look at how the impact fee really impacts single lot owners and being to necessarily develop. We're just looking to build a house that fits our family and provides our kids a place to build memories and cherish life as they continue to grow into productive members of society. So I appreciate your time and thank you very much for your support and attention into looking into exempting single lot owners from the impact fee. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Vada. Appreciate you being here and hanging in with us.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Thank you.
Mrs.
Council.
Vada, will you tell your husband Chad that Todd Crandall says hello?
Oh goodness, everywhere somebody knows him.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I
he
will.
he was kind of like an okay wrestler back in the day. He was okay. He wasn't that great, you know.
Well, that's my boys are waiting for me now. Mom, are we leaving for practice? So-
There you go. All right,
Mr.
save his
Chair.
family.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilman
Thank you for your
Jones.
time.
Yes, yes, Miss Candy.
Mhm.
Can I ask
Hi.
you, how long have you lived in Baltimore County?
For 42 years, my entire life. I was born and raised in Parkville, and when I got married, Chad and I bought his late grandparents' house in Kingsville.
And you've been paying taxes ever since? Yes. That's a yes answer. No, but so thank you so much. I guess the point I was making was
Yes.
I've often brought up this issue myself that it seems a little unfair for someone such as yourself, you and your husband, you work here for Baltimore County, you lived your entire life here in Baltimore County, you have been paying taxes for the services here in Baltimore County. And now it comes time for you to build yourself a house, having the monies that you've saved, and we're saying we want you to pay for an impact fee. Well, in reality, you've been paying for the government for many, many years already. So, I mean, I guess the point I'm making is we have to get this right. We have to get it right at a time when it's very difficult. It's no doubt about it. And maybe a big development, some of these costs are passed on, or maybe some developers absorb these costs. But in most cases, these costs are passed on to the purchaser. And the purchaser, especially in cases like you, Miss Candy, where you have a single lot, you want to build a home, and I don't even know what size home you want to build, but it's going to be a big impact fee, and it's monies that you could have used someplace else, whether or not to give yourself a, whatever, family room or whatever the case may be. But I guess we have to get it right because we're losing population. We're losing population, and others around us are growing. And yet we're still trying to figure out how to get these impact fees. And the reason we haven't received a lot of impact fees because there hasn't been a lot of building. But we have to get it right. So thank you, Miss Candy. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. The point I was trying to make was you've been paying taxes for a long time already. Thank you.
I wonder if any of those taxes went to pay for bonuses for the Revenue Authority personnel. Just saying.
Revenue.
Okay, Councilman Patel. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman Marks.
one more thing, and the amendment as described by Mr. Bostic to exempt the single lot prior to July 1st, 2020 should help potential first-time home buyers.
Okay. All right. If everybody's okay, we'll move on to Bill 2326. This is from Councilman Ketch. Zoning regulations, uses permitted in the MLR and ML zones, housing for the elderly.
Yes,
Councilman Ketch.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this bill is focused on York Road in Sparks, where the Sparks Industrial Park is located. And as with many other commercial and office developments, they're having problems filling the office buildings, et cetera. And Broadmead Senior Citizen facility is right down the street. This is Broadmead has purchased some of the land in the Sparks Industrial Park, and they would like to buy some more property to create a branch of their retirement community. And that's what this bill does. It allows for the senior overlay district to be extended to certain areas up there. And it also would allow that a building could have only 50 units on a building lot. So this is being done to meet the needs of seniors in Baltimore County. Broadmead happens to have one of the largest programs where they support seniors in their own homes. So I'd appreciate a positive vote on this bill, which is going to provide, as I said, senior housing and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Catch. I think we have a speaker are there any questions for Councilman Catch on this? All right, we have a speaker, Ms. Belcastro. Did you want to?
Yes, our speaker on this item is Sean McIntosh. You may unmute yourself and begin your testimony when you're ready.
Hi, yes, this is Sean McIntosh, and I actually live in Sparks, Maryland, and I'm a candidate for this district. I'm not opposed to this, but I'm also not in favor at this point. I'm actually asking that you proceed with caution. And I'm asking this, Councilman Koch, I'm glad you explained that it was for Broadmead. I assumed that it probably was. And I think Broadmead is fantastic. It's a really wonderful facility, and it does meet the needs of seniors. It's also extremely cost prohibitive. And we have a need for affordable housing for seniors in this county. We also have a situation where McCormick just signed a deal with Unilever, and they may need manufacturing space. And so I think that this property actually needs some more thought. And so I ask you to proceed with caution and really think about, what are the long-term needs of this area for manufacturing and for housing for the elderly. I don't think we need another 55 plus community. And I do think that we need affordable housing for the elderly. We have a large number of elderly people who are holding onto their homes because they cannot afford to do otherwise. Broadmead is cost prohibitive for a lot of people. Mercy Ridge is cost prohibitive for a lot of people. And we don't have a lot of other options up here. So with that, I ask you to proceed with caution and perhaps delay voting on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, and the concerns you have been have taken a lot of my time as well. I was asked some time ago to do this, put this legislation in. First of all, the difficulty that companies are now having filling offices, etc. And for the future, I do have a concern that we're turning land that's zoned for commercial and industrial into residential, and losing that opportunity for commerce and industry in the future. But as far as homes for the elderly, I know Broadmead has done studies showing that what they plan to build can be supported by the community, by the 3rd District community and other parts of the county. one of the advantages to making it senior is that York Road in that area has its problems. For those who know the area, when you pass the Hunt Valley Town Center, York Road has an S curve, which can be fairly dangerous. And so basically, by putting seniors there's going to be a shuttle between the two campuses of Broadmead. Plus, seniors don't use their cars as often as people with jobs, etc. So I've worked with the community associations up there, and believe me, your concerns are shared by many in Northern Baltimore County and by me as well. So, but I think you can look at this as a compromise. Broadmead is an excellent facility. It, as far as their fiscal health, they're fine. They're very solvent. And I guess you do know that off of Ridgebrook, there's a huge building that's been vacant for some time that will be utilized by Broadmead by turning it into apartments. So I appreciate your comments, and you do have to look to the future. You're absolutely right. So again, thank you very much for your input.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Ketch. We're gonna move on unless there's other questions or concerns. To Bill 2426, this is from Council Members Ketch and Marks, Baltimore County Final Landmarks List, which I believe we heard at the last work session, but did you want to cover it quickly?
It just deals with the Stark
Elementary
Sparks
school site.
Yeah, and the ruins. It
Right.
marks the ruins, and it takes a small portion of the property and protects it, which would give the county or the opportunity to possibly develop the other parts of it for recreation.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Next bill is Bill 2526. This is from Councilman Marks, zoning regulations, residential performance standards for panhandle lots. Councilman Marks, did you want to cover this?
Sure, I'll be happy to. This bill restricts panhandle lots in the Perry Hall area. A panhandle lot is a piece of property set back from the road, typically behind an existing house that connects to the street via a narrow private strip of land. This is not unique to Perry Hall. There are prohibitions elsewhere in Baltimore County. As I said, I think before, the bill is supported by the Perry Hall Improvement Association, and I have not heard any opposition to the bill.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Marks. And I think we have a speaker. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Just a question for Councilman Marks.
Sure.
Councilman Marks, do panhandle lots exist in Perry Hall now?
Yeah, they exist throughout particularly the Silver Spring Road corridor. But yes, they exist in Perry Hall right now.
One of the troubling things that I find with panhandle lots is their address is not always clearly marked. And I always thought if there's an emergency vehicle is trying to find an address during an emergency, I hope that panhandle lots had more clarity as to what the address was. Anyhow, that's for another time, but I thought I'd mention it.
It's a fair point. Yeah.
Perry Hall is in sections is the land of panhandle lots.
No.
That is true.
That is true. And we have a speaker, Ms. Belcastro. Did you want to call a speaker? I think it's Ms. Karen Harris.
Karen Harris. Yes, Ms.
Yes.
Harris. Yep, you may begin.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Ms. Harris.
Oh God, thank you, everyone and members of the council. I am currently in touch with David Marks, who has been a godsend. I live next door to someone who is trying to develop a panhandle lot. I've been living in this area, my current address, for over 40 years. And all of a sudden, the original owner sold the land that the current or the old developer tried to buy the lot and the land behind my house, which is currently woods, and he never sold it. So a relative bought the land and is now trying to do this panhandle lot. Now he also has access several other ways, but he wants to come down this narrow pathway between my house and my neighbor's house. And everybody knows, as one of the councilmen noted, that there are so many panhandle lots now, and this neighborhood has been established. He'd have to break up the cement. It is currently already a cul-de-sac where there is no parking, and there's no need for to be any more overdeveloped than what it already is. The schools are overcrowded. The highways are overcrowded in this area. And it just makes sense because in all other Perry Hall, Kearney, they already have laws that they can't access these panhandle lots or approve them. So I would really like your vote when passing this, because this is disturbing to me. I'd appreciate you really thinking about this. Thank you. And kudos to Mr. Marks for helping me with this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you, Ms.
Yes,
Harris.
Councilman Patoka.
it sounds like Councilman Marks has good material for a mailer.
He does. Yet he still worries.
Thank you, thank you,
I
thank
hope
you very
our-
much, and thank you, Ms. Harris. And it's again, it's supported by the Improvement Association, which is all of Perry Hall. So thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to our last bill, Bill 2626. This is from Councilman Jones, County Charter, County Council Compensation and Redistricting. Councilman Jones?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I will be brief. Obviously, I'm willing to make some adjustments onto the redistricting piece. However, the bottom line is I don't think that the directions to make the salary compensation board look at salaries for future council members to be full-time should not have been in the charter amendment to expand the council. I think that clause is what caused the Salary Compensation Commission to recommend a salary of $140,000, going from part-time at $70,000 to full-time to $140,000. And I think that clause has been the source of all the criticisms and hypothesizing and projecting of what salaries and pensions could be or would have been in the future. So I'm recommending that we put that before the citizens and remove it. Thank you.
All right, any comments? I know we have a speaker.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Patoka.
The designation of full-time council member wasn't something that was done arbitrarily. This was done, it was a recommendation by the council expansion work group after many, many public hearings, after I think they met 13 times. They wrote a 150-page report as in terms of the outcome, the process, the outcome of their meetings, and they voted unanimously to designate the function of a council member as a full-time position. And we learned through our deliberations at the last work session that the idea of council being a part-time position was in fact just a myth. It was not defined in the charter. It's just the way we did things with no definition over 70 years of being a charter county. And so I applaud the council expansion work group for adding for doing the research, interviewing. I think you were interviewed, Mr. Chair. I was interviewed. They asked me to they asked the council expansion work group, asked me to take them through a typical day, a typical week, and a typical weekend. Because as council members, I think I can speak for many of my colleagues that we work Monday through Friday, and then we begin work again on Saturday and Sunday. And then the next week is the same. And so to me, I know personally, for me, I rack up about 70 to 80 hours before the weekend starts. And I suspect that some of my colleagues are have the same demanding schedule. So I think it's really important that we don't, I think it's important that we create more definition to this rather than less, and follow the recommendation of the good work of the county council expansion work group. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Patoka.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Jones, go ahead.
I mean, listen, this has been debated for many years, and I certainly understand all the work that each and every one of us put in. But it begs the question, if it's going to be full-time salary, then it should be a full-time position. And then we start asking the question is, can people have other jobs? Can they have another full-time job? I believe that the idea of a full-time salary for part-time work is not fair.
How do you, Councilman Jones, I still don't understand how you define it as part-time work.
Well, like you said, for 70 years, we've looked at it as a part-time job. Regardless of what the charter says or does not say, for 70 years, we looked at it as a part-time job. And we acted accordingly. Not just me, but every other council person that came before me.
I think we also learned in the last, during the last work session, during deliberations, that there was confusion in terms of the merit and non-merit position. Baltimore County has engaged in different classifications of employment. Merit, working 35 hours per week. Non-merit, or part-time, working 34 hours per week. And that, not so much for an elected official, but this is the two classes of employment that we have. And I think that county council members, and I believe their staff, if I'm not, I think the staff too, and I think Ms. Bell Castro can correct me if I'm wrong, are designated as non-merit positions. And
It was considered permanent part-time at what they called permanent
part-time.
At one
I
time,
know that
34 hours. Yes.
when I was deputy director of planning for Baltimore County, I was classified as a non-merit position. On paper, I was supposed to work 34 hours a week. I can tell you, similarly to what I do now, I worked, I hit 60 hours before the weekend. Now, I will say my weekends weren't as demanding when I was working as deputy director of planning as they are as a council member. But we all know how demanding weekends are in our jobs. And I think calling it part-time doesn't accurately reflect what a council member does.
Mr. Chair, I mean, council, all of those things may be good and fine and true. I mean, the reality is we've looked at the council job as being part-time for the last 70 years. And I don't think we should have full-time pay for part-time work. And I think it has benefited this county to consider the job as part-time, because it gives people from different walks of life and different careers an opportunity to serve, and not just make a person choose whether or not they're going to work here or abandon the career that they've had or established. I think this council is stronger by having diversity on it, people from different walks of life. So I don't like the idea of somehow saying we're going to have full-time pay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
could I
Councilman.
ask the council secretary a question?
Yes.
Mr. Secretary, is there anything in the legislation and what the what the voters approved that precludes a council member from holding a second job?
It does not. The charter amendment indicated that a council member would be considered full-time for the purposes of compensation.
Gotcha. So I know 2 council members hold full-time jobs, and my observation of those council members, and I'll call them out, Councilman Ertel and Councilman Marks. From my observation, they put in easily more than 40 hours a week as a council member, easily.
Yeah.
And I don't follow them around on weekends, but I see where they are on social media. And so council members, believe it or not, have families. Council members have to pay college tuitions. Council members face the same affordability issues that everyone else in the state of Maryland faces and this country faces. And so if a council member has children, wants to send their children to college, and in order to do so, have to supplement their income, why should a council member not be able to send their kid to college? Or is it only for the wealthy? I don't think the position of council member should be for the wealthy, only for the wealthy. And I think this suggests that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Councilman Patoka. I know we have speakers. Do we want to get to them? Ms. Belcastro?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our first speaker on this bill is Sharonda Hoffman. Ms. Hoffman, you may unmute yourself and begin your testimony when you're ready.
Thank you. Again, thank you again for letting me speak. It is very unfortunate that this council has decided not to record the meetings, because this is the same discussion we had last week, and it's no use to belabor the situation. But I do want to note that I'm just going to call it out. And only reason you can get on WBAL, unless you give an equal time to everybody, is to talk about a bill. Mr. And the Councilman Jones went on WBAL and told everybody who's going to make this bill, because the issue was about the pension grab, was not about the actual pension bill, but it was about the salary. The salary has been discussed in media. There was a report. It wasn't just put out in the air. Councilman Patoka went through all this last session. And let me just say that the auditor specifically says for 26-26, the bill does not establish compensation levels for council members and does not amend provisions governing the employee retirement system, fiscal effects associated with council compensation related retirement benefits. So this bill basically does nothing, okay? This is a middle of an election, and I just have to say, Councilman Patoka put out a good bill. Councilman Young, he made a better bill, and now his bill is falling flat, and I don't think it's going to get a vote. But to go back to the last work session, which I stayed for, we did not talk about this other bill that if you go to the minutes, I'm talking about Mr. Marks. I'm sorry if you're taking it personally, but I really was interested in this bill, and I didn't understand what was happening. So now I have more information, but it would have been nice, like in other councils, if you have an amendment that's going to be introduced or considered, or even if it's not considered, it could be iteration 1, iteration 2, and it can be done in such a way that the public can understand, because you're going to be voting on this Monday, and maybe someone could give you even more insight. It's about to be helpful. And I also, I've been talking to this council, and it was about the last administration. So this isn't the first go round, so don't take it personal. I criticize Johnny O. We've already talked about this before. If I see wrong, I want to say, hey, this is a better way we can do it. But I all wish you happy Easter, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman Mark.
Ms. Huffman did call me out, and I think I have a right to respond. Happy Easter, Ms. Huffman.
Okay. Ms. Belcastro, next speaker.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Our next speaker is Sean McIntosh. Ms. McIntosh, you may begin your testimony and unmute yourself when you're ready.
Ms. McIntosh?
I'm having,
Uh-oh.
there we go. I was having trouble unmuting. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So, yes, I'm writing to express my opposition. I'm actually here to express my opposition to this bill 2626. First and foremost, the matters addressed in this bill have already been decided by the voters. Revisiting and attempting to alter those decisions through subsequent legislation undermines the will of the electorate. The voters have spoken clearly on this issue, and their decision should be respected rather than relitigated. Additionally, the salary associated with this position should be included as part of the standard budget process. This ensures transparency, accountability, and appropriate oversight. Removing or treating it differently sets a concerning precedent and weakens the integrity of the budgeting process. It is also important to recognize the reality of the role itself. The position is not only currently full-time, but it is highly likely to exceed full-time demands following the next election. If we are fulfilling our responsibilities effectively, we will see the development of a robust committee structure and increased engagement with the community. These are not optional enhancements. They are essential components of good governance, and they require significant time and effort. Concerns have been raised about the recommended salary being too high. However, there is already a clear and appropriate mechanism to address this. The council has the authority to approve a lower salary if it believes the recommendation is excessive. That is the proper response to this concern, not the passage of legislation that overrides voter intent or disrupts established budget practices. For these reasons, I urge you to reject Bill 2626 and uphold both the will of the voters and the integrity of the county's governance processes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McIntosh. I think that is all, unless anyone has any comments before we wrap up tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman Marks.
I think we all want to wish Reed Wiseman success and the crew he is commanding as they return to the moon. First manned lunar flight by the United States since 1972.
It's very incredible that we haven't been there since 72.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
David Marks.
Yes,
live long
Councilman
and
Jones.
prosper.
I just wanted to just add that yesterday they laid to rest a very good man who made significant contributions. Mr. Robert Ramaka made significant contributions to Baltimore County and affected the lives of so many people here. I guess wanted to mention that yesterday he was laid to rest. He was a good man.
Yes,
and I was happy to present
absolutely
the citation, all council citation, everyone signed to the fact.
And thank you for bringing that up, Councilman Jones. Bob Ramaka was truly a legend on the east side, as well as, all of Baltimore County. We also lost former Senator, retired Senator Paula Hollinger last week as well. And so two Baltimore County legends were laid to rest this weekend.
Well said.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
you.
We'll see you on Monday night